Right. So, we saw a good while ago the Jungle Book,
Yeah,
2016.
a few weeks back, maybe.
I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks, okay.
Maybe 2 weeks, might be three. It's been a while. It took us a while to actually get to this point, but let's get to the formal introductions. I'm the Angry Raccoon,
I'm Ace.
and yeah, we're going to be doing our discussion review. This is our, I think, believe fourth one of 2016.
Yeah, there was Revenant,
Hateful Eight,
Hateful Eight.
and remember the other one? It
No.
was quite a long one.
No, I can't remember it.
Deadpool.
Oh yeah, Deadpool. Yeah.
That was the latest one. So if you are in the mood to sit down, have a nice little discussion with us and hear our thoughts, then definitely check out those previous ones. But right now we're talking about the Disney's latest in a slew of remakes.
Live action remakes.
Yeah, live action remakes, which I think we should probably specify right now. We're not a big fan of remakes generally.
No.
I mean, I can't stand them.
I actually didn't want to go to see this film because it was a live action remake, and I was like, I don't care. Like all the other remakes, like Maleficent.
Maleficent, that was like a prequel remake in a sense.
Yeah, a prequel remake from the villain's point of view, but I still didn't care.
Yeah, it's understandable because ever since Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland, which now makes even less sense now, the next one's called Alice Through the Looking Glass, and it's like, oh, but
like they're basing the names off the books, yet they're set after the books, so it makes no sense.
It's like either do one or the other, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we actually did see this film because I was somewhat looking forward to this film. I'd seen a lot of behind the scenes stuff, a few interviews, and I generally had the feeling this was going to be one of the better remakes, reimaginings to actually come out from Disney, because you actually had a lot of good talent, pretty much working on this film, which we'll get to in a sec. But before we actually get to the main meat of the film and the main spoiler, whatever you want to call it, very few trailers. Can you remember any trailers that we've watched at all?
No, I can't.
Now it only just came back to me. The only trailer we did actually see, which I remember seeing, we actually saw the trailer for Alice Through the Looking Glass. I remember seeing that, and I remember it was The Secret Life of Pets, which was the other one we saw. And because we kind of got in kind of late, that was the only two they showed, and then it was just straight to the film, no messing around, which was great. You already pretty much heard our thoughts on Through the Looking Glass. I don't think this is going to be a very understandable film, and it doesn't look like it's going to try too hard to do anything different.
I mean, the biggest thing I saw was that he decided to have Clockwork Stuff, which is basically Alice Madness Returns. So
The game?
Yeah.
By American Mickey?
Yeah. Like, because that has a lot of clockwork-based stuff in them, which none of the books had, really, that I can remember.
No, which is weird, because I would much rather have American Mickey make another game.
Yeah.
If you've not played Alice or Alice Madness Returns, go buy them. You can buy both on one disc.
Good platformers set after the books.
Underrated, but that's if you're a gamer, and even if you're not and you are a fan of games in general, go watch a playthrough.
Yeah.
It's worth, seeing a nice dark take on like the Alice stories, which is always nice. And Secret Life of Pets, I don't think I've ever heard you express any opinions towards it, Ace.
I like the animals.
Okay. Well,
I'm a very big fan of dogs.
Yes.
So I do like bits of it. I like the System of a Down moment where you see the poodle just like head Connie, oh my
thrashing.
God. Yeah.
Moshing.
Yeah.
I think the ultimate juxtapose.
Yeah.
But it seems really interesting. The trailer we saw was somewhat a scene from the film. I can quite imagine. I guess it goes into more of the plot, which because I've been to the cinema so many times, as you can probably tell, with like the upload of reviews for the last kind of I guess few weeks. I've seen that trailer about like 6 times now.
Wow.
So I'm done with it in that sense. I'm like, that's enough. But I seeing it with my mum, she was actually like, oh, don't really want to really see it that much anymore, because she thought it was gonna be more about what animals actually do when the owners go. She we have a cat, we have a dog, so she much rather have the aspect. And I guess the idea of an adventure story might be deterring her and maybe other people.
Yeah. I completely understand, and there are some juvenile moments that some people laughed out loud, and I was just like groaning, which is like the rabbit, crapping his pellets.
Yeah.
Like, people were, like, laughing out loud, and I was just like, oh, God.
No, it was a funny joke based on the character, but it wasn't like, oh man, I need to leave the cinema, take a break and cool down, because that scene was so funny, it almost made me wet myself.
It just made me completely grown. I was like, oh, God, no. Please stop.
Let's hope that's the only kind of joke like that.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I've seen some other great lines. Like, for example, one of the cats is talking to, I guess, the main character, which is a dog.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, yeah, there's something really weird about dog people. And he's like, what's that? That they're not cat people.
Yeah.
You know, that's a cool joke.
That line made me want to kick that cat.
That cat looks like a snob.
Exactly.
Massive snob. And it's like, whoa.
But, yeah.
Oh, I'll get you. But yeah, so that was the only two trailers we saw. Kind of, nothing new. We didn't get surprised by anything. So I guess we can actually move on to the actual film in question. So, as I'm sure if you heard any of the others, we are going to talk about the whole film. We're going to spoil it. So if you've not seen the film, I'd recommend you either come back to the original tab if you're just listening to this and get ready to pause, click off, or generally click off, because we're gonna end on spoilers pretty much.
Oh wait, end? I was gonna start straight on spoilers.
No, I mean, like, there's no point in you joining us for like the last 2 minutes, because what you're gonna hear us saying, well, see you later.
Yeah, it's true.
No point. Not unless you just really want to hear 2 minutes more of our lovely voices. But so I guess as soon as I stop speaking, we're actually going to get into spoilers, so you have until when I stop talking, like I've just said, to stop this review, decide to go watch the film, or maybe you just don't care, or maybe you've seen it and you're like, hey, cool, I'm in for it. So let's get into spoilers right now. So
I couldn't believe that Shere Khan died. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to start off with spoilers with a bang. Oh, I mean, if you've seen the cartoon, then it's not a spoiler.
I think that goes without saying, but we've already entered spoilers. But so Jungle Book.
Yeah.
Interesting enough, the film actually starts with a nice throwback to the original kind of logo as well, which was nice. It wasn't the traditional castle.
Yeah, it was a very different castle.
Yeah, it was odd. I'm not too sure. I think I know what it is, because I did some research, and it is what the castle, if I'm correct, is what the castle originally looked like when Jungle Book, when Disneyland opened.
Oh,
because Jungle Book was, I believe, the last film that Walt Disney himself worked on, because he was very busy opening Disneyland.
Yeah.
The other weird thing as well was the fact that Walt Disney died just before the film actually came out.
Oh wow. Okay.
So he finished Disneyland.
Yeah.
And then died.
Damn. All right.
Which is quite interesting. Which was back in 1967.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it was. I think it was a nice throwback to the fact that this film also commemorates the opening of the park.
Yeah.
Or the theme park, if you want. Which I thought was, not a lot of people would get that. They probably go, oh, it's because it's Jungle Book, right? But, and then we kind of get this really, really nice transition straight into, the jungle, and immediately you kind of get hit by, oh, damn, this film actually looks nice.
Yeah, exactly. It looks great, and even the CG on the characters is very well done.
We'll get to that in a sec, but, we see the environment, and it's one of the first films I've seen where actually it's believable, and it's a film where I'm actually like, you know what, you did a good job, so you know what, yeah, it's a jungle, and if you see a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, which I am gonna continue referencing, and I am gonna link in the description, so if you want to see interviews and behind the scenes stuff, which is pretty hilarious, definitely check the description. But most of the time, a lot of the environments are real, and the way they kind of superimpose other things, other elements and backgrounds, is really well done. And the one thing the film definitely knows what to do, especially with this scene, is they show a jungle setting, and they kind of they kept the lighting correct. So it's you get the sense that this is jungle, midday setting, perfect. It doesn't look fake. The people who did the lighting obviously knew what a jungle looked like.
Yeah, exactly.
It didn't look like a bad set you've seen in other films. It could have gone two ways. It could have gone awful CGI just behind a blue screen. Or,
the George Lucas effect, you mean?
That's what I'm going to say. I was going to say, this film, I mean, you can probably already tell that we did like this film, but this film is really what episode 1, 2, and 3 should have been.
Yeah, in style of using the CG to help the film.
Yes, because Mowgli could have easily been a CG character. Everyone could have easily been a CG character. But you see a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, check the description, and you see that the crew is very much hands on. Like, there's, Jon Favreau, who's the director of this film, in interviews he said how if the kid who played Mowgli being Neel, if he needed some kind of like help, kind of emoting with the characters, he would actually step in and act that out. I mean, Jon Favreau is an actor himself, so he's able to do it. There is a pretty hilarious scene where he's where slightly later in the film, Mowgli's kind of looking around in like a straw field, and then like Shere Khan kind of just jumps. I guess the only jump scare in the film, it wasn't really that obvious. It wasn't that obvious because you'll see in a sec, you'll understand in a sec. But and if you see that in the original like cut, it's just Jon Favreau's literally jumping out like that arms spread, which is pretty hilarious.
It's brilliant.
Which I want a cut of that.
Yeah.
I want the Jon Favreau's cut or the puppet cut.
Oh, I would love that. Just without all the CG.
Without all the CG, I want to see the hands with the eyes. I want to see. Have you seen what Bagheera looked like?
Yeah.
He's just like a big cuddly toy.
I love it. It's great.
It's awesome seeing the actor just hug this toy. Which is great. But yeah, so we get this intro, back to the intro, and we see Mowgli. He's pretty much he's running. If you ever seen the game Mirror's Edge, tap that up. It reminded me a lot of that.
Yeah.
In a sense, how he's obviously running away from something or running with something, and you see a bunch of wolves, and then out of nowhere, Bagheera's like, "Hey, I gotcha."
Yeah.
Not a good impression, but so we get introduced to Bagheera, who is probably, in my opinion, the most realistic looking character.
Yeah, like throughout the whole film, I was going to say this. Everyone looks great.
Yeah.
Sometimes they might not look as great, but consistently throughout the whole film, Bagheera looks perfect.
Yeah, Bagheera looked like a leopard.
Yeah.
They got everything down about him. I mean, he looked real. I was like, oh damn.
Yeah.
He's like, careful, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Like, brilliant. And
like,
voice acting by Ben Kingsley. Oh, amazing.
So, Ben Kingsley, of course.
Yeah.
He did a fantastic job with the character. I mean, originally, I probably said this on record, I didn't think that his voice was like right. I thought that maybe Bill Murray should have swapped. No, it's not Bill Murray. Idris Elba, who plays Shere Khan, should have swapped. But having seen the film, it suits perfectly.
Yeah, I agree.
It suits perfectly. So we kind of catch up with Bagheera, and he's all like, "Oh, you're too slow. If you're gonna be like a wolf, you need to be more like that." And so we kind of get introduced to, I guess, Mowgli's family, because he was raised by wolves, and
the most cutest character, Grey, the little cub wolf.
The little wolf, which is like, for intents and purposes, one of the only characters that looks like a CGI.
Yeah,
which is understandable.
But it was so damn cute. I loved it.
I don't know I don't think he's. I haven't seen the actual, I presume, kid who voiced the actor, but he's adorable. I think. And then we kind of, we see, like, Mowgli's, like, home with the wolves and that, and we see, like, all the wolves look pretty realistic as well. I was like, oh.
Yeah, he did very well.
Yeah. Particularly his mother, I would say, because I believe his mother is White Wolf and his father is the leader of the pack.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, right. Yeah, so we see those two characters, which is pretty cool, and then we kind of get to the scene at the watering hole.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of set up the whole film, and we kind of get a few nice things get introduced. We get to see a lot of the characters, and one thing that they expanded on, the first kind of thing they expanded on, being that we get to see a lot more characters kind of just have their moments and talk, like little smaller characters, which is nice. So there's a great scene where Mowgli is he's walking through the crowd of animals, trying to get to the watering hole, because this is the only time where it's like peace, like no war and that. And so you see a lot of the characters that kind of comment and go, oh, what's that? It's like, oh, it's a man cub, oh, what's a man cub, which is great. And from there, everyone's kind of taking a drink, and then Mowgli, he gets out like, it's like a bucket or something like that.
Yeah, it's an improvised little kind of rounded bucket on rope, which...
Yeah. And that's how he brings the water up from a cliff and starts drinking from it, and everyone's like, oh, what the hell?
What is this man trick?
This is magic.
Exactly.
And I do like this idea, because a lot of them, they're very much like, I think it's either his mother or his father was, oh, you're a wolf.
Yeah.
Like when you don't do these tricks.
Yeah.
As it's commonly referred to, which is just a really nice touch to the film, because
they're not going to know technology. They're not going to say technology.
They're not going to know the word technology. It's all foreign to them, and there is that, fear, and that worry is like, why is he doing that? They know he's a human, but they accept him as a wolf. But at the same time, you can see that human worry or fear or evil or whatever they call it is kind of creeping in. and to which we get introduced to Shere Khan. Which you want to talk about Shere Khan's kind of introduction?
Yeah, very intimidating presence instantly.
Yeah,
from the mixture of how he walks and to Idris Elba's like voice, perfect. Like everyone's just moving out, and he's just strutting like, yeah, I'm the king.
King of the jungle, yeah, which was great. I mean, even his reveal where it's just like you kind of pan to the sunset,
Yeah.
and then it's like, oh, that figure kind of moves in, and then boom, there he is. That was a really nice touch. But yeah, his character is, I mean, we'll probably keep saying how realistic the characters are, but like, yeah, really, really intimidating character. I think Idris was definitely having fun with this role.
He like that's some parts I could probably hear is like a few seconds after he was probably like chuckling because of how much fun he was happening in the studio.
But it wasn't like hammy at all.
Oh no.
Good.
Like he was just having fun with the role, and you can imagine after he'd be like, yeah, that was great.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Get that on a ringtone.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is great. So he kind of talks about wanting, why is Mowgli here? You know, wanting him here because
and doing that nice stalking of like just walking around, keeping his eye trained on him. Like, damn.
He still doesn't trust him, and he has every reason because he was unfortunately attacked by a human, and he's talking about how, this human is going to bring, I guess, an end to their world in that kind of sense. Which is, he has every reason to be. I mean, man, especially in that time, can't be trusted. Which is fine, and so the plot kind of develops. You have like, I think it kind of comes to a decision that the wolf pack, they're kind of deciding what's going to happen with Mowgli, and so they kind of decide it's probably best if he leaves. So Bagheera, he decides to take Mowgli and send him back to where the humans are, which they are located, and they're kind of just partying, I'm assuming.
Yeah, a little bit.
We don't really see like this camp of humans, but I can assume the fact that something's always alight. I'm assuming they're partying.
Yeah, they're having a lit party, man.
Clearly, which is great. So as like Bagheera's, taking him towards the humans, there, like I already mentioned, they're ambushed by Shere Khan, and it kind of becomes a pretty intense fight and chase scene for the most part.
Exactly. Like you're actually kind of worried here, like, oh shit, come on guys, then when he ends up like falling, and there's is it antelope or
it's like buffalo?
Buffalo,
like that.
okay. Yeah, buffalo end up getting down in the mud. Oh,
that bit was great, especially because like I love the bit because Mowgli just cannonballs off that cliff, and he's like down in the mud, and you can see Shere Khan just like looking, waiting for his moment.
Like,
while Mowgli's like, yeah, I see you.
Yeah.
Just waiting. He kind of does that like Metal Gear Solid 5, just grabs the side of the buffalo, just rides off.
Yeah, no, he went Legolas style there.
He went stealth.
Yeah.
He pretty much hangs on, and there's not much Shere Khan can do because he is a bit of a coward.
Yeah.
I mean, well, then again, no one would honestly go down there and get killed for that reason. So, which is interesting. And then you kind of have like Shere Khan. He goes back to the I guess the wolf's hideout area, whatever. And you already tell he's up to something because he's just like no reason why he would be here if he didn't want something. And there is that tense moment where everyone's like, oh, careful, careful. You're
getting worried for people here.
You're getting a bit worried, and you're like, I don't know what Shere Khan. He's obviously angry, and he obviously wants something. So, but no, he just wants a quick chat. Just lay down like a proper cat, proper wolf, just civilly discussing the issue of Mowgli, which I thought was great. No like on all fours, just let's just lay down like all cats and dogs do, basically. To which Shere Khan decides, yep, that's not enough. He just dashes the leader. Straight off the cliff. I was like, him. Oh.
And you see all the other like wolves, they literally duck their tail between their legs, like proper animal instinct there.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I knew someone was gonna die.
Yeah.
I didn't expect brutality right there. Like, jeez. And so Shere Khan's pretty much biding his time, unfortunately, at the moment. But we come back to Mowgli, who's he's still on the buffalo, and he kind of like goes down the river, and that scene kind of reminded me of the scene from what is it, The Good Dinosaur. There's a scene in The Good Dinosaur where they're in the river, and I was like, oh yeah, maybe Jungle Book actually inspired that scene. I don't know, but
it actually reminded me a bit of Revenant. Just him going down the river. It's kind of like, okay, is he gonna be attacked by a bear now or something?
Oh no, there is a bear in this film though.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he kind of ends up in this it's hard to say because the film and the environment nicely changes to fit the mood, which is kind of cool because at first he gets off in this kind of like this almost misty but green.
Like it's a very kind of denser forest.
Yeah, it is, and you know he kind of climbs a tree and it gets like completely foggy, almost completely grey to an extent, which I thought was interesting. And then we kind of get introduced to Car, who's like this way bigger than he originally was.
They made it. This is one of my favourite parts of it. That they made some of the animals more mythical. Like this is a lost legendary animal.
Yeah,
because it's like the fictional anaconda from the Anaconda movie, like that's much bigger than the normal one, or the basilisk from Harry Potter. It's like is a legend kind of creature. Yeah,
which is great. And then we have like Scarlett Johansson who voices Car, so it's like the only real, I guess, gender change.
Yeah,
honestly. I mean, that doesn't bother me. I think I always found this to be a really weird choice because it was like, did you just put her in there because she's female?
Yeah, or I mean, Scarlett Johansson. Yet again, it's a name that draws tickets. She's not main character, and she actually plays quite a smaller role than Car does in the cartoon.
Yeah, in the original film, Car at least appears twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think she did fine. I mean, what really, not to be mean to her performance was fine, but like her performance is even more enhanced thanks to the awesome sound design, which you know, when she says my name is Car, there is that great echoing that goes around the cinema. If you can still watch this film in the cinema or you have surround sound, definitely for that bit. And she definitely has a very commanding and soothing voice. And we get another really nice change to the film where she kind of almost in like a lullaby and like the kind of trance thing that he does, kind of talk about like go more into like the lore of Jungle Book and kind of explain how there was an explorer who kind of, you know, he came here with his son and he got attacked by a tiger and he left his, unfortunately he got killed by Shere Khan before injuring him and left his kid there. And then, you know, good old Bagheera came in and was like, oh, okay. Which was an interesting and nice moment. I like the fact that Mowgli was clearly not scared by that panther.
Yeah.
If you see a panther at night, you'd probably be careful. Because those things, their eyes glow in the dark.
That's what I liked. They actually showed the glowing eyes in the darkness, and that was awesome. Yeah,
and you just see him come out of the cut, which is like pretty nice, and you know.
I think, is this the first time they mentioned like red flower?
Yes, this is the first time they mentioned red flower, which is what they're referring to as fire. Yeah. Because an uninhabited jungle seeing fire for the first time and all it does is just destroy. You know, they're not going to call it fire. Yeah. It's red flower. And I really like that. That's why the sub-name of this film is pretty much like, I'd like to call it Jungle Book, The Red Fire, or Don't Play With Fire, Kids.
I call it Jungle Book Dark Souls Edition. You know, you got this fire being the problem of everything. Yeah.
That was Dark Souls 2. The second game in the Dark Souls video game series. But yeah, so we get to that scene and it's hard. I couldn't even tell if like Car had actually hypnotized like Mowgli. I wasn't too sure. I was too used to the weird like spiraling eyes from the cartoon, or in almost every cartoon for that matter.
He was definitely getting hypnotized. You could see in his eyes like him just kind of dilating a bit, you know, focusing more on her.
And I was waiting for the bit where she was gonna like, if she is even technically a she, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, they might not calm, maybe genderless. I don't know. Yeah. But
well, snakes do have a gender.
No, I know they do, but like what they may not reference it at all.
Yeah.
Shit, that's my train of thought. I was waiting for the bit where she's about to eat him because I was like, how terrifying they're going to make that look.
Yeah.
And they made it look pretty horrible.
Yeah, they did.
But, you know, luckily Mowgli is saved by, you know, originally I thought it was going to be like a Bagheera, but it's actually Baloo, which is a nice change. And we get introduced to the legend being Bill Murray as Baloo. And he plays this role fantastically.
He knocks it out of the park. He's great.
Pretty much. I did remember seeing an interview, which might be in the description, with Jon Favreau, and he's like, and they asking him, "Oh, did you have to like do any like directing with like Ben Kingsley and Bill Murray?" And he was like, "Yeah, no." They know what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is nice, seeing as the two of them did actually record together, which is a rarity within films, especially with voice work.
Yeah.
So we get introduced with Baloo, and Baloo is pretty much like Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Bill Murray needs a favor, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so he convinces him, well, I saved your life, so can you help me get this honey, which is on a freaking cliff?
Yeah. It's like, oh, you know, I would climb, but I don't wanna.
I mean, he's a sloth bear. They can climb.
Yeah.
And that's the most terrifying thing about a sloth bear. They have long claws, and they can climb.
Yeah. You ain't getting away.
No, don't run. No, if it's a sloth bear, I mean, this is a normal bear, then you could run up a tree. It might try and knock it down and get bored. But sloth bear will come get you if it needs to. But yeah. So, and then we kind of get introduced to reintroduce the idea of like Mowgli, using his tricks or using technology to figure things out, because he's able to, fathom a rope and climb up there and kick down the honey and all that.
Yeah, he rappels down using his tricks, which is very smart, and he's just using a lot of stuff, and Blue's kind of like, yeah, this kid's got talent.
Yeah, I think I'll keep him around.
Yeah.
And so you kind of get this really nice montage where like you just see them kind of pretty much just gathering honey. He's building like these almost Home Alone-esque like traps to some extent to get the honey, which is pretty nice.
Look, they basically started their own honey industry.
To some extent, yeah. I mean, all you need now is like Mowgli saying, there's a way we could like benefit off this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some kind of exchange.
Get some honey dealers out here,
But no, like Baloo is pretty much just content with the like literal mountain of honey he has.
It's like, I need it to hibernate, Yeah. Cough, cough.
Exactly. And then Bagheera comes back and he's like, yeah, Mowgli, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Kind of annoyed in a sense. Yeah. Before we actually get the first of two songs.
Yeah, yeah.
We actually get the bare necessities, which is awesome.
Yeah, I was very happy that they included it. It was a nice little touch.
It was a nice little touch. Almost like a bit of an homage to the original film where like Baloo is just like riding down the river and Mowgli's on his stomach, pretty much just riding down there, which is nice. Yeah, I really like that scene. And if you see like behind the scenes, it's actually just the actor who plays Mowgli just like on a raft, and and it's like it's Jon Favreau like doing Baloo and doing all this stuff, which is great. He really should have been in this film. He might be in this film somewhere, but like he really should. He plays one character as I'm now reading, but yeah, and then like Bagheera comes back and he's like, well, we got to get back to the forest, to
the jungle, the wolf den kind of area.
No, the humans.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Because he's like, we still need to get you back, and then is Baloo and Bagheera kind of know each other. It's not 100% certain, but
it's like they know of each other. They've either heard or met before.
Yeah, Baloo says he knows Bagheera, but it's hard to tell whether he actually does. Yeah, and even when they kind of meet, they definitely seem to hit it off. Yeah. Quite well. They're kind of just like, because Bagheera's kind of taking him to the side and say, well, I got to get him back, you need to kind of say to the kid, you got to go, which, kind of conflicts with a promise them two made, earlier on in the film. So we kind of get that, like, the sad, upset moment where it's like, oh, you lied to me and stuff, which is, it's fine, but it leads into probably one of the most interesting parts of the film. Mowgli pretty much gets carried off by monkeys up the freaking Aztec temple.
It's amazing. I was happy there was a setting, yet again going back to the mythical status, like going horror, like classic horror, like 50s.
To an extent, yeah.
This was my favourite scene, just because of what happens.
So you've got Baloo and Bagheera pretty much climbing up this mountain, while Mowgli is pretty much in this, as I say, Aztec temple den, and he's looking, at like all the monkeys, the disciples. I mean, you've seen the film, you know what's happening. Yeah. I mean, if you haven't seen the trailer, you're like, oh, okay, so I guess it's going to be King Louie. And, for whatever reason, they decided to sneak in a nice joke with, like, him picking up a bell, like a cowbell, and shaking it. I was like,
Yeah, it needed more cowbell, man.
The film really did. I mean, it really did. And then we kind of get to see King Louie, who is this massive, like, there's a
Gigantopithecus, as he calls himself.
Gigantopithecus, which was a really awesome change.
Yes.
Like, because in the original film, King Louie wasn't that threatening.
No, he was a chimp.
Pretty much, yeah.
An orangutan, I think. Sorry.
Yeah, he was just like, oh, cool. Yeah. Teach me the ways of the fire. Yeah. And now he's a little bit more like a mob boss in a sense, because he's pretty much like, he's like, kid, I got everything. You stick with me. I'll look after you. You just got to teach me about that red fire. It's the only thing I need. Mowgli's like, what? What are you talking about?
So I don't know about red flower. And it's like, you're a man
human.
cub.
You do. You're a human. You would know about that. You need to tell me about this. So it does get very tense because you're like, oh, what is he going to do? But of course...
Like, emphasised even more by Christopher Walken's excellent performance.
Oh, he did fantastic on this.
I loved it so much.
He was in his element with this.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, I'm glad we got just the right amount of him in this film as well, which I think was great.
And he got to perform the King Louis song.
Yeah, we did. I always forget what the actual song is called. But
I can't remember. I just remember I Want to Be Like You. So, yeah, he performed that. I was extremely happy with it. I was actually singing the song for weeks after. So
it's a good version. It's a nice rendition. Both covers are actually done really well.
They are.
They homage them well, but did their own kind of thing, especially with music. Even like Christopher Walken, he's kind of like putting a little bit more spin on the ooh, ooh, ooh.
Yeah.
He's kind of doing his own thing with that, which was a nice touch. I'm glad that they really let the actors kind of, make the songs their own. Everyone knows the songs. Yeah. Everyone knows the songs, even little kids. So it was nice.
Exactly.
It was nice, but the other thing I was wondering was how exactly is a Baloo gonna swell the party?
Yeah.
Because I knew he wasn't gonna dress up and pretend to be a monkey.
Yeah.
But basically, Bill Murray came in and he was like, excuse me, I've got a question here, which was, I'm pretty sure that was just Bill Murray just having a general conversation with someone.
Yeah, exactly.
Put it in, but he pretty much distracts him while Bagheera's like, come to the back, and then all hell breaks loose. Pretty much. This is like, I understandably why. I think for a lot of people and you, it is the best part because they're literally running away from King Louis while fighting off like hundreds of monkeys, while Mowgli is like running up the
temple.
The temple.
Yeah.
While King Louis, this huge like monster,
King Kong
style giant, he's just like smashing pillars, trying to grab him. Pretty much, I am assuming trying to kill him at that point. It is pretty tense, and I'm a really awesome like addition to the film. Like this is why the film is no longer a remake; it's a reimagining because they made this film their own. At that point, I was like, "Yep, you earned that reimagining."
Yeah, I agree.
Earned it.
They did.
Earned Jon Favreau's The Jungle Book.
Yeah, I had one tiniest gripe with this, like this. Yeah,
okay.
And that was the bit of Mowgli hiding behind a pillar, with King Louis walking behind, and then it does the typical, he looks one way and he's really the other way. Really cliche, and it was the only problem I had with that scene.
You have to remember kids are watching this film.
I know.
And they're going to be like, oh shit!
Yeah. But that's the only thing I had, and I was like, oh, guys.
That didn't bother me. I was like, I knew it was going to happen, but it was still like, oof.
I think it's because I watched way too many horror films. Like, that was the genre I watched growing up. It's happened too much.
No kid has watched horror films, so they wouldn't know.
Yeah,
that would be quite startling to them.
For me, that was the only issue, really.
But then the temple kind of just collapses on him, and I guess he's dead.
Yeah.
Which is like, oh.
Mowgli, #1 murderer of the jungle.
The king of the jungle to an extent.
Yeah.
But and so it's kind of revealed that Baloo and Bagheera actually knew that the leader of the Wolf Gang, he got killed by Shere Khan.
Yeah.
So obviously Mowgli's pretty pissed.
Yeah, exactly.
So he decides to take matters into his hands. We kind of get to the end of the film, and he pretty much somehow knows where the human camp is, I'm guessing, because it's always on fire.
Yeah. Exactly.
And he pretty much runs over there, and a second you're kind of like, oh, is he going to, like, get all of them involved and probably, like, start a war and be like, oh, let's kill this tiger, But no, he pretty much grabs a torch and, like, does chariots of fire and starts running through the forest with it. Don't play with fire, kids.
No, don't do that.
Meanwhile, kind of, not really knowing what it is, kind of setting fire to
parts of the jungle.
And he pretty much comes back to the watering hole and he's like, where is Shere Khan? I'm not afraid of him. To which Shere Khan finally shows his ugly face and he's like, well, I think people are pretty scared of you right now. Yeah. Look at what you've done.
And you see parts of the jungle on fire. It's like, oh, Mowgli.
It's pretty intense.
Yeah.
Even going into the final act where, Mowgli, does the right thing, which I'm glad. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to fight you straight. Dashes that fire in the water. And he's like, come on then.
Yeah, exactly. Bring it, Shere Khan.
To which, he's like, really? Shere Khan's like, really? You're going to stop me? Just the defense as a man cub? But no, Baloo's got his back. His mum's got his back. Bagheera, the whole wolf gang, has got his back as one of the backup mics falling. It's that intense. But,
exactly.
I mean, which is fine, and so you get almost like a fight in a sense between Shere Khan, and Shere Khan's somewhat able to keep most of these people off, but very barely. They only just, as his mum says, act as a distraction while Mowgli's running off and his like Sherlock brain starts ticking as he gets a plan, kind of luring Shere Khan, pretty much up this obviously unstable tree.
Yeah.
And you kind of get the feelings of, okay, Mowgli has a plan.
Yeah.
But has it taken into effect? Because he, like I said, he goes into Sherlock and he's like, grab this, quick, do this, grab that, and so he's pretty much almost coaxing, Shere Khan up this tree.
The dead tree, I think he was calling it.
It was a dead tree. And he's pretty much, waiting to get the best of him. He knows Shere Khan's going to come no matter what, despite the fact Shere Khan is obviously showing signs that he's like, oh, he's cautious.
Yeah.
He knows it's not a good idea, but he's like, nah, I got him.
His anger and his revenge, he wants him, and he's not thinking clearly.
No, he's not. His instincts are clearly taking sign, but he's not. He's ignoring that. He's obviously being a cat. He's like, oh, he's doing that thing. Like cats are like, oh no. Yeah. But So it kind of gets to that like pretty cool swerve. It's like them two on a branch. Mowgli pretty much does leap of faith, grabs onto like this, a bit of vine, and like I guess a swing if you want to call it.
Yeah.
And pretty much holds onto that while Shere Khan forced to his death, and I presume dies, if not from the fall, but from being set on fire.
Yeah.
Being engulfed in flames.
Yeah, again, Mowgli, killer.
Number one killer in the hood.
Wanted for regicide and the murder of endangered species.
Well, if it's still the 60s, then the tiger isn't endangered yet.
Okay,
Mowgli's
true.
making a start.
Yeah, well, he did kill a Gigantopithecus, so that was regicide and endangered species all in one.
I guess they could have studied that. But then again, if they were going to study King Louis, then they would have killed him anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
They would have killed him anyway, or it would have been King Kong too.
It's very true.
So we kind of get like the nice, the Disney wrap up, where everyone's okay and all that, and then like something we kind of forgot to mention, like the elephants who are like regarded as like almost like the gods.
Yeah, it's like they helped shape the forest and stuff like that.
Yeah, Mowgli kind of helps them out earlier on in the film. And,
he helps get one of the elephant. Is it a cub or is it a baby or?
Just say baby.
Yeah. One of the elephant babies out of a hole using his tricks.
Which was nice, and so they kind of.
They're kind of like, you're alright.
They respect him in a sense, and much to how the legend goes, they pretty much save the forest by moving the stream to put out the flame, and Mowgli's kind of riding on the back of one of them, and they're like, that kid's going places. And then we get that nice wrap up where Mowgli's back with the wolf gang, and you see Bagheera, he's kind of still watching over him.
Yeah,
I'm really glad they didn't end this film with him going back to the
the
humans.
Yeah.
I much prefer him to stay there. That's just my opinion. And so we get the it's kind of wrap up Bagheera. He's sitting in the forest, in a tree, like much like panthers do, which always worried me. For such a big cat, those things love sitting in trees.
Yeah, I actually found out something. One of their hunting patterns, like even if they kill something like an alligator, which they do hunt, they will climb and drag it up the tree with them to eat it.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
They love a tree.
I know.
They love a tree. And, I'm closely followed by Mowgli and then Baloo, who now can climb.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he could. He was afraid of it. Yeah.
He was a coward to some extent. But and they kind of pretty much just, chill and kind of let the film end. And you're kind of like, yeah, it's a good ending. And then we get, like, the actual end credits, which makes a really nice homage to the original first film with the actual closing of the almost looks like the same book from the first film, because a lot of the original kind of like earlier Disney films actually started with a book opening and closing, which was nice. And they do one up on that, and they do like this really weird open book 3D animation kind of thing, which was a really nice touch.
I loved it, and like it was all based on different settings. So you had the Aztec ruins with like King Louis singing his song.
Yeah, he
like
gets
the full
out of
song.
There.
Yeah. And I loved that, and it went through some of them. You'd have like big animals interacting with small ones, so like a giant squirrel and a little Shere Khan.
It was just a nice little bit of fun. You could tell that they were just messing around with the animation. It's like, let's just do something nice.
And then you also had Scarlett Johansson singing the full song by Car.
Oh yeah, she kind of did that like kind of melody, and I think that worked.
Yeah,
especially with the visuals that follow after. They're a little psychedelic and trippy, which was nice. But yeah, that's pretty much the whole film. Yeah, just the fact that we clearly really like this film.
It was really good. Another little thing that I loved is that they never, besides Mowgli and his dad, they don't really show any other humans. Yeah. They're always silhouetted.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Yeah. And that shot of the silhouette looks awesome because they're against like the
fire.
Yeah, against the fire. So they look really weird in a sense because their silhouettes are a bit wobbled thanks to like the exhaust from the flame, which is a nice touch. I mean, I really really like this film. I'm actually really surprised how much I like this film. I thought it was going to be at least good, but I think it is way past good. I mean, this might, depending on how the rest of this year goes, might make my top 10.
Okay.
Honestly, which is a big deal for a remake of like one of my favorite Disney films.
I understand completely. It was really amazing. I'm thinking my like top 10 so far, and it's quite up there so far.
I mean, I've only seen like, without spoiling too much, about 7 films.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to see more than 10, so it's going to get even more interesting when films start getting switched around. But all I'll say for now is maybe the number 5 spot.
Okay.
Maybe we'll see how. I mean, the year's still young, and we still got summer to go through, and Lord knows a lot of people are going to be broke this summer.
Oh
if they're going to go cinema. But if you do have the time and you still manage to catch it, I think we definitely recommend Jungle Book.
I highly recommend it.
Especially if you have kids.
Yes.
If you're a family and you have kids, I think this is definitely a really good film. I know there was a bunch of like silliness about the film being too scary, stuff like that. Ignore that.
Apparently,
not unless you raised wimps, then you'll be fine. Or not unless you're a good parent, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything else you want to like add to this film? I mean, the only other things I can say is I really liked every character. The relationship between every character is believable. Characters were believable, both like, visually believable, which you don't see that too often. I mean,
that's very true.
I mean, in the film, budget-wise, wasn't that big.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was like 175 billion. I mean, just a little bit more than Zootopia.
I think I actually do remember something that when it started happening, I was paying as close detail attention as possible when it started raining. And I was watching to see if any rain interacted with the fur. Because I was like, okay, did you put that much detail in? And it does happen.
Yeah.
You see rain drop onto the fur and the fur moving.
Yeah, the stuff they did with the environment was really nice as well.
So I was amazed at the attention to detail, because that was my challenge when I saw that.
They may have been also using the same engine that Zootopia used for the fur, perhaps, because that engine, I can't remember what it's called, but Zootopia is kind of like a milestone within like animation anyway, because they've got like 2 softwares which allow them to have lighting and real life environment to react naturally, and also the one that helps them kind of control and create the fur. So they may have used the same thing for that.
Possibly, yeah.
That may have been like the last thing that they did, because maybe Zootopia finished up around, I think it was like January, February. Maybe they pretty much had the same team kind of come in and finish up the rest of the animation in that sense, and just kind of master it in good time, because I imagine they must have mastered it by now.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this film, it does a really good job blending the real with the fictional. It's fantastic, really. I mean, it pretty much nailed everything, and I mean, this is the new standard now, really. I mean, if Disney are going to continue doing these remakes, which I'm sure they're going to, because this one was very successful, this is the one to beat, honestly. If your film is not as good as this, I'm looking at you, Pete's Dragon, then I don't care.
Oh god, Pete's Dragon's gonna be a joke.
That's the next discussion review.
Oh.
No, we ain't seeing that. No. Not unless I hear it's the best, worst film of all time, we're not seeing it.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not worth it other than that. But yeah, anything else worth adding before we wrap this up?
I can't think of anything. No, it was really good.
No, good. Yeah, go see this film.
Yeah.
It's actually worth seeing. It's actually worth seeing, which I'm surprised I'm even saying that myself.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll wrap it up by we'll end it as we usually do with most videos by saying I'm the Angry Raccoon.
I am Ace.
And we'll see you hopefully on the next review, discussion, whatever that film shall be.
Dewey, I think.
Do whatever you want. I don't mind.
Off we Dewey.
Sure. Alright, we'll see you in the next one.